You hear about it over and over again that that Bruce Lee kept only that which worked from all the different styles, all the different arts that he studied, and that he threw out what didn't work. But do people really, the people doing all the talking, do they really know what they're talking about? We will examine how to look at this important Jeet Kune Do concept and determine whether or not it's actually necessary in today's era of Jeet Kune Do. Hello everyone, this is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, and welcome to the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast number 100. Yay, 100. This is the one about throwing Jeet Kune Do stuff out. So as you're logging in, if you guys would be kind enough to say where you're logging in from, hit the like button and feel free to continue doing so throughout the broadcast. So I must be getting really good at picking interesting topics for the broadcast, because for the second week in a row, I put up the postcard, the preview postcard for the broadcast. I turn around to make some coffee, right? And by the time I sit back down, there's already a huge Facebook commentary discussion going on, right? So, now, to those who really know what's going on, the postcard should have brought up a couple of things, and it did actually. One, the quotes on the left and the right are misquotes because when it comes to the language, and so that's why the original source is the picture that I put in the middle. And then as some people commented, these sentences should not have been attributed to Bruce Lee at all, right? So let's do some hypothetical questioning here to illustrate my point, right? So here's a question. How did we end up with so many different styles of teaching in Jeet Kune Do? So I've heard the answer that it's because different people train under a bunch of different instructors, and then what they do is they take all the different stuff that they got from all the different instructors and then they teach it out. So that's why you end up, that's one reason why you end up with so many different teaching styles in Jeet Kune Do. I also heard that instead of that, you train under one instructor so that then you don't have a whole lot of different stuff to put out. And so because you just put out what you got from that one instructor. Then I heard that when you teach it as a system, and then when your students have learned it as a system, then they get to create their own thing, and they get to teach it as their system. So did any of those answers to the question, how did we end up with so many different teaching styles, did any of those questions bring clarification to the issue? I would say, well, that's for you to say, right? But that's all the kind of stuff that you hear if you keep your ears open. And I guess as a Jeet Kune Do journalist, I now have to keep my ears open for more stuff. And this is the kind of thing that has been going on for over 40 years, right? So of course, there's no wonder that there is a ton of confusion about Jeet Kune Do. Now, obviously, you can see where I'm going with this, because it does raise the question of what is meant by reject what is useless, which obviously is when I said throwing Jeet Kune Do stuff out, that's obviously what I was referring to. Or as you hear on the a lot on the internet, right? So some people talk about, yeah, you adopt what is useful and you forget the rest, or you throw out everything else, or you get rid of the useless stuff, right? And these, I swear to you, these are all quotes that I hear or see or read online. Right? So here's another, this one's not hypothetical though. How do you know what is to be rejected? Because we hear about it all the time, but has anybody ever like really broken it down for you? So this is another question. If Bruce Lee's initial groups of students, Seattle, Oakland, LA, if they were on the receiving end of what he determined or deemed to be useful, after becoming instructors in their own right, what would be the criteria that they would have used to reject anything that they were taught as being useless? Right? You got to stick with me on this one, okay? So, and after having done that, then would they not have passed on the same idea to their students? So now we have another group of students that eventually becomes Jeet Kune Do instructors in their own right. And now are they passing on the same idea of finding stuff within Jeet Kune Do to reject as being useless? My final question is, at some point in Jeet Kune Do, if everybody keeps throwing stuff out, will we not end up with very little, if not nothing, left of Jeet Kune Do? So what does it mean, again, what does it really mean to reject what is useless? If you go into JKD, right, if you go into JKD thinking that it's a collection of techniques from different styles, then you're starting out in the wrong spot. But that's not surprising that a lot of people believe that's what it is, because even esteemed martial arts connoisseurs like Joe Rogan have been quoted saying essentially that Bruce Lee was fascinated by utilizing all the best techniques from all the different arts and only doing what was effective and discarding what was useless. Now, I would say that before you start discarding stuff, you should first have a really solid grasp on some Jeet Kune Do stuff in the first place. You have to have worked on building up, I call it a catalog or a reservoir of skill and talent and abilities, not merely a collection of techniques. That's really, really, really important. Because if you collect techniques, unless you have like a JKD tinged or JKD influenced methodology for collecting these techniques, then you might end up gathering up only, like what you like, like what you can pull off or what you think other people might like, right? So let me put this into perspective for you. So let's take the topic of takedowns. So I've seen people like demonstrating takedowns, and they'll do a whole bunch of stuff. And, if you know what you're looking at, you can see, oh, that comes from there, that comes from there, that comes from there, that comes from there. So what they have is a collection of takedown techniques. And maybe they're referring to it as Jeet Kune Do takedowns or whatever. But as I'm watching this, I can tell you, and this is from personal experience, if the guy had spent some time delving into judo or even Pencak Silat, and if he had learned more about grip structure, if he had learned more about off balancing, if he had learned more about the idea of constant forward pressure, then his takedowns would have been exponentially improved. Now, I'll stick on the Pencak Silat motif for a couple of minutes and then we'll finish up. When you train in Pencak Silat, you were taught the jurus, which are kind of like the kata of Pencak Silat, right? Now, I bring that up because we know that Bruce Lee famously said that kata is useless. So I know people who, when they were trained in Silat, they learned and diligently practiced the jurus because they knew that the jurus held the essence of the art. And what they wanted by going deep into Pencak Silat was to be able to come out on the other end having extracted the essence of the art. But here's the deal. What if they had gone into it, oh, well, I'm a Jeet Kune Do guy and Bruce Lee said that kata is useless, so the jurus are useless. Then maybe they would not have come out of it being, practitioners still of Jeet Kune Do, but practitioners who could now implement aspects of Pencak Silat in what it is that they're doing. Right? So, and then you have to keep this in mind. Yes, Bruce Lee did say that kata is useless, right? I always say he should have said that to him it was personally useless or unsuitable or what have you. But according to reports, he said that after having learned a whole bunch of kung fu forms and being able to perform them quite expertly, right? So, he threw stuff out after having worked the stuffing out of it. You get it? Okay, so I encourage you to think about this, whether you're a JKD student or a JKD instructor. Because if you're a student, ask yourself, do you trust your instructor enough to be guiding you in the right direction over this whole absorb what is useful, reject what is useless thing? And do you trust your instructor to be providing you with what, as Dan and Asano would call them, the learning experiences which are necessary for Jeet Kune Do? Now, if you're a Jeet Kune Do instructor, are you doing the necessary work to ensure that you are providing said learning experiences for your students, even if it means going outside of your personal comfort zone, right? Because I fail to see how Jeet Kune Do will continue to grow if students don't trust their instructors and if instructors don't trust themselves, right? Okay, so like I said at the beginning, this just the putting up of the postcard, we got a whole set of comments and what have you. But if you want to take a deeper look at this, there are 4 previous I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcasts. Number 13, number 59, number 60, and number 61. I'll put them in a comment here so that you can, actually I'll put links to them, right? So they're all on the YouTube channel, the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast YouTube channel. One is about the 4 tenets of Jeet Kune Do, as I call this thing. The other one is about, it's kind of, it deals with this topic, but very differently. And then there's 2 of them, part 1 and part 2, about the one about add-in specifically what is your own. Okay? All right, so that's it for today. Feel free, share, like, comment, ask questions. I'll review everything after posting. Sign up for notifications so when we go live here on Facebook and over on the YouTube, please subscribe and hit the notification bell when you subscribe for the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast, for the Jeet Kune Do dialogues, and for the FMA files. Follow me on Twitter at Dwight Woods and on Instagram at Dwight D. Woods. At ilovejeetkunዶ.com, the Quick Skill Series Volume 1 is available. Coming up on Friday, November 1st, Jeet Kune Do Dialogues episode with Mike Gittleson of JKD, Colorado. He's of the Ted Wong lineage. So that's Friday at, that'll be what, 6 p.m.? We'll still be on Daylight Savings Time, right? So 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Today is Landmark. Thank you very much, everybody who congratulated me earlier. Landmark episode number 100. So, let me show you some cool stuff. Dig this. You see it? You see it? That's the coffee mug. I don't have coffee in this. I'm finishing on McQueen's of Scotland that Glenn gave me for my birthday or Christmas like 4 years ago. And here is one of the JKD Rebels' unique designs. Okay, so this stuff, if you care to support my efforts, this stuff is available over at jkdrebel.com /store. So there's a whole bunch of stuff there, and as we improve our offerings, I'll get you more stuff. So just take a look at it again. This one, I love that one. And then we got the trusty mug here that you can feel free to fill with anything that you want. Okay, today's a navy blue shirt. There we go. All right. And I'll see some of you back here on Friday for the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues, and then some of you next week for another issue of the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebels, signing off. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care now.